Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bastard Review. This time around I'm looking at ECW's November to Remember 2000. This event took place November 5th of 2000 in the Odeum Sports and Expo Center in Villa Park, Illinois. We start off the night with 4 short but decent promos from all 4 men in the title match tonight. Then we go to the ring where Joey Styles and Joel Gertner are waiting as always, but instead of Cyrus interrupting them, tonight it's Simon Diamond. He talks about how he's never mentioned by either of them, and that he deserves some recognition for supposedly ending Tommy Dreamer's wrestling career. His partner Johnny Swinger comes down and they proceed to attack Joel. Then Tommy comes down, then C.W. Anderson comes down, and finally Joey Matthews and Christian York come down, and we get a quote-unquote unscheduled match between Matthews and York and Diamond and Swinger. I guess they didn't make it a 6-man tag because Dreamer was still healing up. The match is pretty short, mediocre, and uneventful, but at least it's got a believable storyline. My biggest criticism is that prior to the match, before Anderson comes out, Dreamer puts Diamond in a tree of woe, then puts a chair in Diamond's face and does a diving slide into him. Now, you'd think this would put Diamond down for at least a little while, but almost immediately after when Anderson attacks Dreamer, he's back up like it didn't even faze him. It's just bad selling on his part, and he should know better. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. Post-match, Anderson gets into the ring and joins Swinger and Diamond in beating down York and Matthews. I guess winning wasn't enough for them? It's really all a stupid reason to seg into the next match. When Kid Cash comes down to their aid and attacks Anderson, there's a needless spot where all 5 men find their way to the entrance, and Cash uses the referee as a springboard to dive over the ropes into their waiting arms. Of course the crowd ate it up, and I suppose if I were there live, I would have as well. The rest of the match is decent though. Anderson and Cash have matched wits before, so I can tell they're comfortable with each other in the ring. Cash does another nice springboard Hurricane Rana onto a waiting Anderson outside the ring, a la Heatwave 2000, only this time with a better camera angle. Anderson also does an impressive delayed vertical suplex from the second rope. One thing that had me scratching my head was that Anderson focuses on Cash's left arm early in the match. Wouldn't it make more sense to take out the legs of his high-flying opponent? Also, at one point, Cash does some fancy turnbuckle dives, and from the camera angle, you can see that he and Anderson barely even connect. Shame on you, editor. It's a passable match that does have its moments, but I question why they didn't just consolidate both matches into one and make it a 6-man tag with Dreamer on the sidelines. Hindsight, I suppose. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. After that, what should have been a 6-man tag, well, starts off as a 3-on-2 handicap match, with Easy Money, Julio De Niro, and Chris Hamrick taking on Danny Doring and Roadkill, but ends up being a 6-man tag when Spike Dudley comes out to their rescue. This was a perfectly acceptable match and had some decent interaction. The only drawback is that I don't really care about any of these wrestlers. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. The next match sees Chris Chetty taking on his former tag team partner, Nova, in a loser leaves town match. It's an odd stipulation to have when this is the first time both men have faced each other in the ring. I'm not all too clear on why Chetty decided to leave ECW, but it could have been due to bounced paychecks. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall. Chetty and Nova work very well with each other, and Chetty does a great job of goading the audience into booing him. They have some adequate back-and-forth counter moves, and Nova excels at building some anger towards the end. The makings of a great feud cut short. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. After that, New Jack lets Rhino know he's bringing his weapons to the match tonight. How fun! I can't wait! Up next, because their last match at Anarchy Rules wasn't stupid enough, Balls Mahoney and Charlie Willie take on the Baldies again, only this time it's in a Flaming Tables match. Of course they last in the ring for maybe 20 seconds and then it's out into the crowd to waste some time. I'm sure this was only on the pay-per-view because there's no way in hell TNN would have allowed this to air on the ECW show. There are a couple oh my god moments. Angel powerbombs Chili through two facing chairs onto the concrete floor, and Bowles putting Angel through the flaming table, but otherwise not really worth the time it was given. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, cuts a great Thanksgiving promo about what Tajiri and Mikey have to be thankful for. And after that, Rhino defends his ECW television title against New Jack, and I must say, I do not buy New Jack as a viable contender for this title. Not even an average match, Rhino goring New Jack through the table looked more like a botch than a normal gore. A boring match and a horrible title match. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Also, the montage of supposedly high spots post-match was especially unnecessary. Up next, the FBI defend their ECW World Tag Team titles against Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri in a rematch from Anarchy Rules. I just love watching these four men work in the ring. The first 5 minutes is nothing but back and forth moves and counters, with each man trying to get the upper hand over his opponent. At one point, Mikey tries to go high risk, but Little Guido has him scouted and causes him to sit on the turnbuckle. Then Guido and Tony start to swarm on either side of him, looking to set something up, but Mikey gets back the upper hand and gives them dueling whippersnappers off the turnbuckle. Unfortunately, in the process, he injures his left shoulder, and they have to stop the match. Once Damage Control gets him out of the ring, though, it's back on as Tajiri starts to take on the FBI all by himself. It only lasts for a few seconds because then Super Crazy comes running out and joins Tajiri to finish the match. It's a great way to take something that could have been a disaster and turning it into a memorable moment. Super Crazy does a beautiful springboard missile dropkick that sees his boot go right into Mama Luke's face with authority. Towards the end of the match, Super Crazy gets taken out into the audience by Sal and does an unnecessary spot diving from the balcony onto him, which the camera misses simply because they couldn't follow them out there. The ending is understandable considering the circumstances, and I'm glad Super Crazy was around to help save the match. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Finally, we come to our main event. Jerry Lynn defends his ECW World Heavyweight title against Steve Corino, Sandman, and Just Incredible in a weird elimination stipulation. It's touted as 2 matches in 1. Only Corino and Sandman can pin each other, and Incredible can pin each other. Then the winners of the eliminations will face each other for the title. I really don't understand why it had to be so complicated, but hokey stipulation aside, this is a pretty solid match. It starts with Sandman notably absent, thus Corino doesn't necessarily have to participate in the match. A few seconds he doesn't, but he eventually interjects himself and all 3 men go at it. Sandman finally shows up and of course it takes forever to get into the ring. Shortly after, he introduces a ladder into the ring, gives Corino a painful looking suplex into it, and then does a slingshot somersault senton onto the ladder with Corino trapped underneath, which had me cringing with delight. There's also another spot almost immediately afterwards where Corino sets up a piece of guardrail in the ring supported by 2 chairs on either side. He starts to attack Sandman, but Sandman gets the upper hand and gives him a suplex through the guardrail. Oh my god, it looked brutal, and I think Sandman clipped the back of his head on one of the chairs. About halfway through the match, all 4 men were a bloody mess. I hate to see Lynn lose the title, especially after just winning it the month before. I think he deserved to have the title up until the end of ECW. I also have to question the end of the match. It felt like it came out of nowhere. Dawn Marie turns on Corino and Jack Victory. Credible hits Corino with 2 shots of the Singapore cane. Then almost immediately Corino hits Credible with a super kick and picks up the victory. It felt like a lackluster way to end the match. Why have Dawn Marie turn on him now? Why not wait until he had the title and had to defend it? Even the crowd didn't know how to react to his win. A great match with a mildly shoddy ending. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Overall, ECW's November to Remember 2000 is a barely above average show. There are a couple matches on here that entertain, but they get weighed down by the rest of the card. ECW compilers will have this in their collection, but if you're just a casual fan, outside of the tag team and heavyweight title matches, there's really nothing here that's worth your time. I'm giving this a charitable 6 out of 10. Thank you for listening. Please tune in again to another Bastard review when I review another wrestling DVD in my collection or anything else that crosses my path.